Hi there, Will here, and today something quite special. As I'm here on top of this mountain in the middle of nowhere, about 3 hours away from Cape Town and about half an hour away from anything else, I've hit 5,000 subscribers. So I suppose that this will be a 5,000 subscriber special. And on top of this mountain, I've been here since yesterday, I've been shooting with my Mamiya RB67 and this Horizon 202 panoramic camera. It's a bit like a wide lux, and this specific one has some quirks that I'll show you. And I've also got a Nikon F3 here that Maya is using. So join me on what remains of a weekend trip to the mountains. For a bit of context on the map as to where we are, we started off there in Cape Town, then went up the N7 until it turned into the R303 in Citrusdal over there, then went up that tiny little yellow road and then off into somewhere over there, so we're somewhere over there on the map, kind of in the middle of nowhere. The wind's been absolutely howling for the first while we've been here, the whole of last night and as we arrived, and most of this morning. It's just hit afternoon now. It was absolutely going berserk, which was interesting because it's been a while since I've been in a place where the only thing one can hear is the sound of the wind. I haven't had a car in like a day. It's really quite special. I've got Ektar 100 in both of my cameras, and Maya's got Ultramax 400 in her Nikon F3. I've opted for the Ektar this weekend because I don't really trust portrait for landscapes anymore. No, that's a lie. I do trust it for landscapes. I just don't like having to try deal with the cyan in the shadows that sometimes pops up. I'm not sure how effective this Ektar maneuver is going to be though, because I mean, Ektar was designed to work like slide film, right? It's got much less exposure latitude but good saturation. And some of the exposures have been quite tricky, so it may not have worked out. We'll see. Anyway, here's me last night showing you how one loads this Horizon 202, because it is a bit tricky. I'm going to switch to normal video again to show you this, because this is slightly more important than DVC worthy, but this is a Horizon 202 panoramic camera that my mate David has lent me. You can check him out here. He has a bunch of cool stuff. Anyway, it's a panoramic camera, much like a wide lux. It currently has a dummy roll in it, so I'm just going to rewind that. And then I'm going to show you how it's loaded, because it's quite tricky. The film kind of goes on a journey through this thing. I'm going to be shooting Ektar 100 in it, because I'm probably only going to shoot landscapes, since its minimum focus is infinity. It's like set to infinity, so can't really do much with it besides landscapes, but it's still going to be cool. And what you do, as is detailed to you in this nifty diagram over here, is this upside down now? As is detailed to you in this nifty diagram here, the film goes under, then over, then under, then over again, something like that. Oh no, it goes over, then under. It goes under, then over, then under, then around, basically. I'm going to show you now anyway, hopefully. Even David struggled to do this just now, so I'm going to put it through there first, so that it'll wind over that. Then I'm going to plonk it in there and lock it in, nice. Then it needs to go underneath these sprockets. I'm going to pull it out a bit so that I have some stuff to work with. Goes under there, yes, and then around. Come on. Come on. Okay. Then I just need to seal that in there. So that gets put in there so that it catches. And then hopefully it advances. What speed are we on here? 250. I think that's on. Hopefully. I mean, we'll find out. It looks quite loose, but whatever. It'll sort itself out, hopefully. Anyway, here we go. As you can see, there's quite a nice landscape going on around here, and quite a lot of wind, and it is chilly. I'm just going to set my meter to ISO 100, and then use it as a spot meter thing to meter for the horizon, and it says half a second at f64, or 1/25th at f8, or 250 at 5.6. I'm going to do 125 at 8, 125, f8. Okay, and hopefully this actually works. Okay, 3, 2, picture. I think it worked. It really is super windy and chilly up here, and I hope my metering's alright. I gave it a 15th of a second at f11, and it's ISO 100, so that makes sense. I think the highlights, no, I'm lying, I gave it slightly less. I gave it a 15th of a second at f8.5, because the highlights were f11, where it's landing on the mountain was about f8, and the shadows were f4, so hopefully 8.5 renders it alright. Don't really need that much detail in the shadows, to be honest. And Ektar is probably going to crush it. There's something really cool and blue going on over there, so maybe I can make a picture there. And here, hopefully I've just captured the last bit of light on that mountain and some lovely blues, and I gave it a 1 second exposure with this bush in front of the lens, so hopefully the bush blurs into something as well. Could be cool.
Where is the look of love that to my YouTube followers, I didn't get Will's feet in the picture.
This Horizon, as I mentioned, has some quirks. I mean, quirks overall and quirks with this specific one. Quirks overall, it's got a really interesting way of dealing with shutter speeds and aperture. I've kind of never seen it that way on a camera before. It looks sort of like this, and it goes up to 2/50th of a second. Slowest speed is 2 seconds. They come in two different setting modes, which you adjust by switching this lever near the rewind lever backwards and forwards. Obviously, if you switch it to yellow, then you're getting the yellow exposure times. If you switch it to white, then you're getting the white exposure times. The aperture is adjusted with the top lever thing, and the shutter speed is adjusted with the bottom one. Or is it the other way around? I'm not sure. Anyway, this one's specific quirks are that its frame counter doesn't work. The film advance lever doesn't bounce back automatically, and I guess that's kind of it, to be honest. Anyway, I'm going to take a picture of this landscape. The camera also doesn't have a light meter built in, so I'm going to use my Sekonic L308B to meter for things, and it says 250 at f8, so 250 at f8. Hopefully that is the shutter speed. Yeah, I think this is right. Anyway, 250, white, f8, panorama. Yep, that was right. I'm really curious to see what the image quality is like from this thing, because I've never shot with something like this before. I'm going to take a picture of Maya on this rock with the Horizon 202, but I'm going to say in advance that it's going to be out of focus because this camera is fixed focus at infinity, so the landscape's going to be in focus and she's going to be out of focus to some degree. I'm not sure what degree. I'm going to shoot this at 5.6, so probably quite out of focus. I'm gonna try make a landscape. A nice Ektar landscape with no cyan cast. Pretty much the only photos I'm gonna have taken this weekend with this RB gonna be landscapes, to be honest. So maybe not the most inspiring, but also these are really nice landscapes, and there's not much else to photograph besides plant life, and I haven't really seen any plant life that's got me particularly excited. If you're wondering what this thing is on the front of the camera, that's the setup I put together so that I could video stuff in the aquarium, and it worked decently well, so that's what that is. It is all removable. I've just got it on there for the sake of it. Nice. The sun is about to go behind the hill, and as soon as the sun goes behind the hill it gets quite cold here. I think it was 2 degrees last night, and 2 degrees this morning when I woke up as well, which was, I wouldn't call it unpleasant, an experience though. Anyway, I might make a picture of this bush with the shadow of the house creeping up on it, and then save the remainder of the pictures for inside by the fire, and maybe if the sunset's nice, some more sunset pictures. Righto. Light meter says 1 minute at f8 for this. Damn, it's cold out here. 1 minute at f8, and for Ektar with reciprocity, that's 2 minutes 40 seconds. So I'm gonna do a 2-minute 40-second story and see what happens. Because it's so windy, and because I have zero faith in my tripod in the wind, I'm gonna stand outside here for 2 minutes and 40 seconds. It's kind of dark, as you can see. You can probably hear the wind blowing. It really sucks, but the fire's gonna be nice going back inside. I'd like to take an extended moment to thank all the people who have contributed to the fact that we just hit 5,000 subscribers. It's quite surprising, really. I never expected that number of people to be interested in my ongoings, and I'm really humbled and honoured that so many people have chosen of their own volition to stick around. It's really cool, the amount of people who are interested and invested and have conversations with me every week in the comments. And I suppose I could address the fact that a couple of people have messaged me and been like, why do you always respond to comments? And the answer to that I tell everyone is, if someone's going to bother to leave a comment on some video that I've put on the internet, then the least I can do is respond to them. Even if they don't have a question, even if they're just saying that they enjoyed it, then acknowledging the fact that they took time out of their day to say something feels worthwhile to me, and it's still feasible with where things are. I mean, if at some point in the future things went haywire with the amount of people that are around, then I probably wouldn't be able to do it anymore. But for now, it's part of the appeal, I guess, is being able to reply to pretty much every comment, unless someone says something mean, in which case sometimes I'll reply, but mostly not. Anyway, our time in this cabin is wrapping up now. I hope I made some vaguely interesting pictures. Pretty much only going to be landscapes, but that's all there really is around here. And it's been really special, and I hope I can bring that across in this video. I reckon there'll be a little montage now of the drive home, and then I'll probably reflect on the pictures if they turn out interesting. Or at all, in the case of that panoramic camera, because as I likely have shown you, loading it is a bit tricky and I might have messed up there, but we'll see. I hope you enjoyed that, and that the video brought across at least some of how lovely that weekend was, because that spot is amazing, especially when one lives in the city and you get to go spend time in the mountains. It's truly sublime. I won't take up too much more of your time telling you about this horizon and my thoughts on the images, because this video is already quite long. But to sum it up, in my mind this thing is sort of like an upgraded toy camera, basically, because I mean, you have some control over things. You can adjust the aperture and the shutter speed to a few different options, and it does have some heft to it in spite of it being plastic, but there's a lot of variation in the results. And I didn't mention this in the video, but it's got a spirit level on top of it that reflects inside the viewfinder, and I believe one is supposed to keep that level, otherwise things can get quite wonky, but I don't think I did a lot of the time, so I'm not going to blame the camera for the failings in some of the images, but even in the really nice ones, there are issues with sharpness, and towards the right-hand side of the frame, all of the pictures basically seem to have lifted slightly off of the film plane, so they blur out. And this could all be user error. I'm not giving you a review of this camera. That is not what this is, because this is the only roll I've ever put through the thing, and I'm far from qualified to talk to you about a review of it. But that is my experience of this roll, is that the images aren't exactly what one would make with an X-Pan, and that's not what I would expect of it either. It's a fun camera, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. It's a fun camera, don't expect too much of it. They're quite cheap, fun to use. And on the film front, I've used Ektar a bunch in the past for landscapes, and it always impresses me because it scans very nicely as well. I mainly shoot portrait because it scans very well on my Imicon, but the Ektar also scans well, and as I said multiple times throughout the video, it doesn't have a cyan shadow base cast like portrait does, so it's really great for landscapes in that way, and I'm going to be shooting more of it, I reckon. Besides that though, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much to the 5,000 people who have opted to subscribe and hang around. I appreciate that immensely. It's kind of mind-blowing. And I'll see you next week.